Hey, it's Heather Dunlop with Thriving Woman. And what I want to share with you today is how to deal with overwhelm. And I think it's actually a really good time to talk about this because Christmas is just a few days away. Hanukkah's already started. New Year's is coming up. All kinds of things happening. End of year, you want to get, your finances straightened out. You might be planning for next year. So much is happening at this time of year. So you can really start to feel overwhelmed quite easily. And what I want to share with you are a couple of ways on how to deal with the overwhelm so that it doesn't throw you completely off course and send you off into a tailspin. So, one of the first things we want to talk about is micro steps. So, what I'm talking about with micro steps is taking a task that you want to get done and breaking it down into small bite sized pieces. So, you always hear that saying, oh, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Micro steps. So let's take, for example, that you're going to be hosting the Christmas dinner and you've got to get all these things done. So you might have on your list host Christmas dinner, and that can feel quite overwhelming because what does that break down to? A lot of micro steps. You're probably going to clean the house, you're going to set the table, you're going to shop for all the groceries. You're going to then cook the groceries. You're going to cook the meal. You're probably going to bake ahead of time, bake a whole bunch of different cookies. You want to make sure you invite everybody, that they're going to be there on time and help. And then afterwards, it's all the cleanup again. So you've got all the cleanup to do. So there's a whole bunch of things happening. It's not just I'm hosting Christmas dinner. Oh my gosh, because that will send you into overwhelm. So take it and break it down. First thing, who am I going to invite? Who do I want to invite that's actually going to bring joy to the day? Let's start with that. Okay, when is the house going to get cleaned? How long is that going to take? Right? And what we want to do is each of these micro steps, we want it to be about 30 minutes maximum. So if it's going to take 2 hours, say it's going to take 2 hours to clean the house, break that down even more into micro steps. One could be I'm going to vacuum. Two could be I'm going to dust. Three, I'm going to, make sure all the counters in the kitchen is clean. So break it down into smaller steps, right? You're going to go grocery shopping. Well, make sure you have a list with you of everything that you need so that you can go there once and not have to go back a second or third time, and especially not send someone out on Christmas Day. So make a list and take that with you when you go to the grocery store. Next micro step, you're going to bake some cookies. Okay, what cookies are you going to bake? And each set of cookies is going to take a while. So each one is a different micro step, right? So what you do is you put each of these on a little Post-it pad on something like this, and you say, okay, bake cookies, that's one. Bake gingerbread cookies, that's two. Bake Spritzer cookies, that's three. Okay, each one of those is a separate task. So then when you go ahead and you do it, you take that task and you say, yep, this one's all done. I get to put that in the done pile. And you're going to see that pile starts to grow and grow. And you go, oh, wow, look at this. I'm getting all of these micro steps completed. And you feel a sense of accomplishment because now you've got things that are organized and completed and done. And then you can move on to the next one, right? So micro steps, and then make sure that they are smaller enough, small micro steps that aren't going to take you more than 30 minutes each. Because if you do a few of these each day leading up to Christmas, then when Christmas gets here, you're not in a state of overwhelm. Right? The second thing too is also make sure you bring in some people to help you. Right? If you're the one hosting the dinner, you don't have to do all the cooking. You could say, hey, can you bring this appetizer? Can you bring these appetizers for, before we eat? Can you bring these side dishes? And then we'll just heat everything up when it gets here. Right? That way you're not the only one doing everything. And let's face it, foot in the bill for the whole meal. So let's bring in some other people to help you with that. If it's going to be overwhelming to clean the house, say, hey, is there someone that I can call to do the vacuuming and the dusting and clean up the kitchen before me ahead of time and make sure everything's sparkling and pretty? When you set the table, you don't have to do that the day the morning of the day of the morning of, you don't have to set the table the morning of the meal. You can actually set it the day before and say, hey, nobody touches this. This one's set. It's done. Checked. Micro step checked off my list. Done. Less for me to do on Christmas Day, and I get to actually enjoy my guests. And then the third thing about overwhelm, once you've completed each micro step, once you take that Post-it and you put it in that done pile, you don't just say, okay, what's next? What's next? What's the next thing to do? You take that Post-it, you put it in your completed pile, and you say, woohoo, I've done it. Celebrate, celebrate. Because what happens? The brain loves celebration. And when you celebrate, when you've accomplished something, the brain actually says, hey, I need to pay attention here. This is important because it's being celebrated. So let me pay attention to what I just accomplished and celebrate that. And the brain goes, I love this, such good feelings. And it reduces that stress, right? All your neurochemicals kind of calm down and they say, oh, I can make a sane decision for the next thing to do. Because if you don't and you stay in this state of overwhelm, your brain is just firing and firing and firing. And all this cortisol is coming in there because it's feeling all that stress. And you end up feeling more stressed. So take that micro step, complete it, put it in the pile, and then celebrate. Celebrate any way that feels good to you. You know, do a little happy dance. Hug yourself, hug someone, you know, turn up some music really loud and go dance. Take the dog out for a walk. Go for a walk up the block. Like whatever feels good to you. Stop and take a few really nice, deep, quiet, soothing breaths and bring yourself back to a state of calm. Whatever celebration feels like to you, do that. And do that after each micro step is accomplished. Because what you're doing is you're telling your brain, these are good things. And I am capable of completing micro steps. And what this does is it prevents you from going into overwhelm, right? Because you're not looking at, oh, there's this massive thing and I've got to host Christmas dinner and oh my God, everybody's going to come over and what are they going to think of me if my house isn't clean? No. Clean the kitchen? No problem. That's easy. Vacuum the house? No problem. That's done. Grocery shopping? Yep, I'll do that Wednesday night on my way home. I got my whole list. I'm ready to go. Set the table? I'll do that the night before. No worries. And you do micro step by micro step by micro step because all you're focusing on then is the micro step. You're not focusing on this huge task, this huge thing about prepping Christmas dinner. You're saying, what's next? What's the next thing I do? And let me do that while I'm in it. Let me fully be absorbed in that and do that and complete that. And then I get to celebrate. Because you can say, oh, as soon as I'm done cleaning the kitchen, I get to celebrate and have a nice cup of coffee or a cup of tea or a cup of whatever is a cup of for you. So, how to deal with overwhelm? Break it down into micro steps. Make sure those micro steps are small enough so that they don't take you more than 30 minutes each. And after each 30-minute micro step, go ahead and celebrate because you've done it. This is Heather Dunlop. If you want more tips and you want to work with me and take it a level deeper to see how do we really deal with overwhelm and prevent it from coming up in the future or how to best deal with it when we're in the middle of it, book a call on my calendar. The link's going to be in the first comment. And let's take this a level deeper. And let's get you so that you are able to easily deal with overwhelm and not be overwhelmed. Always remember, you have strength within you.